Oh, there it is. It's 2 o'clock. Welcome to the May 21st, 2025 meeting of the Lebanon Parks, Trees and Trails Advisory Committee. Going to call the meeting to order. Roll call. Let's start on this side.
Jan Diamantine, present.
Linda Cedric.
Rick Barnett.
Cindy Kirby. Anna Creel.
Rod Sell.
Okay. Next is approval of minutes from February 19th. Did you get a chance to look at those? Any concerns? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Can I get if there's no concerns, if I get a motion to,
I'll make a motion to pass the minutes as they're presented.
and a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, you guys are so fast. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Look at that. Look how fast we're moving. Okay, discussion. City update. Jason, I think that's you.
Yep. Not too much on the updates. Have 4 tree removals. 3 of those were over top of utilities, so there won't be any replacement. The 4th one was in a front yard. We didn't do the tree removal. We just did a sidewalk removal for the homeowner. The sidewalk was pretty bad shape, and they're getting it all replaced. So that's all I have on tree removals. We put the hanging baskets up today, so they'll be here until September-ish. Look good. They're big and beautiful like normal. Century Park play structure's fixed. We had some parts on back order, but it's all fixed, up and running. 2 replacement slides coming, but they aren't in yet. But as soon as they get here, we'll replace those. And other than that, it's just been normal every day. Spring upkeep, grass is growing a lot. Vandalism's kind of been on an uptick, but we've been staying on top of it. So other than that, if you guys have any questions on anything else, let me know. Yeah.
Couple of comments. One is I wanted to thank you and your crews, and I guess Jeff kind of does charges a lot of the mowing, but they went out before our BLT event, and it could be a coincidence or it could be planned. Either way, we're thankful that everything got mowed.
Yeah.
All along the trails. Yeah. And the other thing that I really, it's great to see is that you'd sent your crew out, I think probably one guy with a sprayer, and they made a huge difference along the trails by spraying just the perimeters on the trails, that it's really kept everything back. And I had one of our participants, it was a past participant of our event. He came up and caught me out when we were setting up at Cheetah Lake for our run, and said he wouldn't run anymore because we'd sprayed out there. So we had this long conversation with him about which was better for him, for us to spray with a trained applicator who knows the product and is doing it correctly, or to have all the brush and blackberries block all the trails so you can't use them.
Yeah.
Because, we talked about you can't afford to hire the county work crew to do that work because there just isn't enough money. You can send one guy out, trained guy. It's really great to have both of those things done.
Yeah, I was out there on out along the lake recently, and it looked good. You guys been doing good work out there, so thank you. Any other comments for him? Questions?
I'll piggyback on the city update before we move on to the next thing. The city was approached by Willamette Valley Rehab Center to discuss construction of an inclusive playground. The location they chose, or we kind of discussed and came up to a mutual agreement on, was Century Park because the age of that current facility. So we're in the infant stages of that, but the intent is to come up with a surface and play structures that could be used by any level of mobility or challenge. So we're excited to partner with them to see how far we get down that road. It would be a really, really positive project for the city. We have kind of a mini version of an inclusive play structure at Christopher Columbus, but that's really the only accessible, and it's really tougher to navigate than it should be. But that's really the only accessible equipment that we do have. So we're excited to see that happen.
Yeah, I think one positive point about that is that it doesn't mean the playground isn't usable by everybody, because it is.
Yeah.
So it still is a great, you don't compromise at all, I think, other than sometimes cost, maybe it is a little
Yeah.
more expensive, but everybody can enjoy that same playground. So it's all inclusive, but it's also, you're together.
Yes, it's not just specific mobility challenges, anybody. So a lot of really cool elements in the structures.
I was going to comment too, you said graffiti and, you painted underneath the Grant Street Bridge and 2 days later, there was more graffiti. I didn't have the heart to email Dela again to tell her that. Do you have somebody that volunteers to paint that, or does all the city parks people do it?
It's a city crew. Yeah, so
It's on the east side again. I mean, it's.
Yeah, my guys saw it a couple days after, and they said something about it. It's a battle we have to keep fighting. So
I wondered, I just said, I wonder if you painted it black, if it would help. Then they'd probably get white
yeah,
paint.
yeah, they just get a different color. I don't.
I think we use the gray because it's the combined, that's the color paint makes when you get the recycled paint.
Oh, it's pretty,
it's-
it's pretty
it's
whitish.
super cheap.
It's more whitish under there. Well, not anymore, but anyway.
It's just
Thank you.
the free recycled paint. With that in mind, we are doing a few things. You're going to see at Ralston Park, we're going to take the block walls down in front of the restroom doors to open up some more visibility across there. We took the short walls down years ago, and that seemed to help. But as long as those block walls are there, we continue to have some real undesired activity. We've locked the doors open throughout the day because they are private restrooms with stalls and doors. And that seems to have helped some of the larger congregations in the restroom building. And then the Century Park playground, before we move on, the new slides we're getting out there are costing us a little bit more, but they're not covered. So they've got walls instead of the dome, because we have so many problems with what happens underneath that covered area. Unfortunately, so just some creative engineering will try to get rid of some of those issues that plague us on a regular basis.
That all you got?
That's all I got.
You danced around that really good, so, okay. The next thing, Laura's going to talk to us about multi-use trail development discussion that she must be working on.
Do you want me to do the North Shore Trail update?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that, and then we'll do North Shore. I jumped over it.
Good afternoon. So my name is Laura LaRock with Pathfinder Land Use Consulting, and joining me today is Matthew Conser. And we are very happy to share a potential development project in the community of Lebanon. It's just at kind of the starting point of the development design. And we're here today essentially seeking some input and have a discussion about some opportunities that exist that are right up your alley, parks and trails. So I think I'll start with just a general overview of the project. Matthew can get into the details if you would.
Allow me to introduce myself.
Yeah,
And give
yeah.
a little background on our
Please do.
company so they know who you're talking to. I'm Matthew Conser of the Conser Group. My brothers and I, and formerly my father, have been developing real estate projects here in Oregon, the Willamette Valley for decades. My great-great-great-grandfather founded Jefferson, Oregon in 1848. So I'm a sixth generation Oregonian, very vested in Oregon and its communities. We built a project here in Lebanon previously called Aspen Place Apartments on 2nd Street. It's the apartments that have the wrought iron gate on it, just past Airport Road, okay? And we've built lots of subdivisions, lots of single-family homes, pioneered a lot of communities, first builder in a lot of different places. For example, Tangent, Oregon, we built the first modern subdivision there. We made a significant parkland donation there. That property and provided community water system to that parkland because the city of Tangent does not have a municipal water system. And that is the finest park in town now. It's got a mature pin oak tree in the center of it that we planted. It's just gorgeous now. We also built the first modern subdivision in Millersburg, Oregon, and have done several parkland donations out there. It's kind of something that goes along with what we do. We think parks are an integral part of a good neighborhood, as are trails, as is nice landscaping. I personally like to garden. I'll show you my irises if you'd like to see them. But in Millersburg, we donated land for a park there. We donated a lake, it was a detention basin. It's now become a lake. And we donated some wetland area, and then recently some commercial land to the city of Millersburg to, they can develop a public works building and have access to a creek that they couldn't get to before for maintenance. And all those are the former mayor wanted to integrate those into a holistic park and trails system. And I don't know exactly where that's gone since, because they've had some change in leadership out there. But it's just part of what we do. And we have a project pending here in Lebanon and have met with city staff several times. Have had excellent feedback from them, very productive meetings. And wanted to come visit. They had mentioned that it'd be smart for us to come talk with you. And because our plans are in formation, we'd like your feedback. We'd like to hear what you're looking for, and perhaps we can get together on that. Okay?
Thank you.
Lastly, I commend you for coming here on a gorgeous spring day. Good job. So this particular site is on the west side of Lebanon. It starts at Stoltz Hill Road and goes basically out to about where the racetrack is. Okay? Its southern boundary is Oak Creek and the Christian Church. Okay, if you're familiar with that area. Vaughn kind of comes in a little south of it. And 12th and Airway would T-bone into it. Okay? And we would do an improvement, and we're working with the city and Kittleson on a realignment of Stoltz Hill Road and 12th, and a continuation of 12th into Stoltz Hill, and you might see it in the site plan there. The project will have, we're expecting a small commercial element, neighborhood commercial, which there's a lot of rooftops out there, and there will be more. And so that seems to make sense. And then our goal at this project at this point in time is really to build starter homes in Lebanon, the missing starter homes that you're not seeing a lot of. You've seen a few here in Lebanon, but that's our goal, is to build something that's achievable for young families and for those that live in Lebanon to downsize into. Okay. So with that, I guess we look at our slides here a little bit. Sure.
So what was just circulated was two different iterations of essentially what could be possibly developed on the site. So the first one, and start by both of those, will have very similar components when it comes to trails, some park, and open space. So while you have two sheets in front of you, you can just pick whatever one you'd like to take a look at, and I can just kind of walk through some of the main components that we'd like to have a conversation with you today. I realize that these are small. The TV helps, but they are also small. So if you would like, there is a full-size set here. I can either circulate that, or we could put it in a place that would be for you. I'll orient a little bit to the site. So as Matthew had mentioned, on the right-hand side of the screen or right-hand side of the page, this would be where the property borders Stoltz, right where Walker Road intersects with the property. The site is designed with a mix of commercial and residential units that will take place on the site. And this is one design that shows a potential trail corridor following the southern portion of the property, kind of extending straight out west from Walker Road. This yellow highlighted portion on the screen in front of you will orient you to where that trail is located. Kind of goes midway to the site, goes south, and then it makes a loop down by Oak Creek in an open, what would be an open space area for the community. This design doesn't change much from either iteration, so either page that you're looking at both shows this potential for a trail loop section that would connect to public streets and sidewalks that would be developed in association with
Do you see where Walker might have been? That's the yellow line that goes east-west, the straight line. Stoltz Hill would be on your right. Okay. And that, and Walker is the Walker continuation is probably not going to happen because we're providing two new streets. The collector street that would comply with the city's master street plan. And so, and a Walker extension doesn't really make sense anymore. But that is a sewer easement, right? The new sewer line goes through there. So the natural thing we thought to do is to make that a multi-use path and take it out to the west of this property where we could have a nice loop system.
kind of advance this slide. So on this next one, it's still looking at that same design in front of you. There's two highlighted sections. They might be kind of hard to see, but kind of midway in the development, there is a portion that's highlighted in yellow. And that would be a concept plan for a park to be developed within the community. And then to the south of that is highlighted in green. Again, this borders Oak Creek. It's a natural area. And that would be intended to be open space and where that trail could be looped around in that area.
And if you see on that map, go back one there, in the lower left corner, there's a BPA easement. Can you see those lines going diagonally through that open space there? So you can't build anything underneath those anyway, okay? And then, I don't know if you can see where the yellow highlighted area on this particular drawing, there appears to be almost like a triangle formation there. You see that kind of going north and south? That is the airport overlay. So we're limited on how many dwellings you could build in there anyway, okay, as open space, okay?
This area here.
Yeah. So those are kind of a couple of the constraints, if you will, right? And then the lower left corner is a mapped wetland where delineation's been submitted to the agencies, and that's a wetland that we will be avoiding, okay?
And then this last slide just puts all the different layers together. Kind of that pinkish red shows again where a potential trail corridor could connect the public streets, internal into the community, potentially running along a park, and then eventually open space. And then again, shows where the park and in orientation with the open space. So as Matthew had mentioned, when you take a look at the site, you really start to map where street corridors need to make some connections. You look at a site like this, it has overlay for power lines, some limitations in terms of how much density could be there. And you start to put together the pieces where it makes sense to have some park, open space, natural areas to be mixed into a development this size. I think it's important to highlight that these are conceptual in nature. So these are just some ideas that are starting to be put in place to see how they might work on the site. There might be some reiterations that occur as this moves forward and starts design. This is not a submitted application yet. There's still a lot of work to be done before we get to that point. But it was a really good time and opportunity where we felt we were far enough along to have a good discussion, but not far enough along where things are ironed out completely, where there couldn't be some good feedback provided on the design. So thought it would be a good opportunity to meet with you today. I would love to maybe turn the presentation over to you all, and if you answer any questions that you might have, hear your initial thoughts. I know you haven't had much time to look at it, so we're happy to start a conversation, and we can always circle back if needed, but
Let me add a couple more, I think, important points. This site overall is 57 acres. So you're looking at a really large site. And our goal was to do a master planned program with the city that would provide a lot of amenities and a mixed density of project, mixed density residential with a commercial element. So you have be a new neighborhood. And an important element in a new neighborhood is parks. And city staff mentioned that there isn't a park on this end of town, that there's a need. And so that would kind of folded into our thinking. So we're approaching this with a master plan concept in mind to build a nice new neighborhood and with a high level of amenities. So, and very livable and with a very nice sense of place. The street coming in there would be a collector. And if you're familiar with a collector streetscape, it's, 2 travel lanes, bike lanes, parking, and then landscape strip and then sidewalk. So very nice boulevard entry into this neighborhood. Okay?
Okay, questions or thoughts? Jan's ready to hit her button.
Yeah, okay. Sometimes I have a hard time with maps, but where the Stilts Hill Road goes, you have a mini mart and a fuel island. Isn't that kind of competing with the one that's going in now?
The market's full of competition. So, yeah, we'll see.
Looks like it's pretty close to the one that's going in now.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if there's a need. This is conceptual. So these are really just placeholders. There's a restaurant, there's a convenience store with fuel, there's some retail. Hard to say what the demand is when we get to building it. Yeah.
And what's your timeline?
Well, we're here talking about design, and then our next step would be to go, we're firming up our transportation planning, and then would be to go into land use and then wetland permitting. So you're probably, all overall, these take 2-3 years to put together.
And then, as Matthew mentioned, it's a phased development, so this would not be brought online all in one period of time. The thought would be over maybe a 10-year or longer period where these would be
How
Yeah,
long did you
looks like-
say, Laura?
10 years or
10 years
longer.
or longer.
So
Okay.
Airport Road is there to the
Yeah.
top, right?
Yes, it is.
That's going to
Yep.
be like busier than now? If you don't widen that,
Airport's
Airport's
quite
a ways up.
ways up? Okay.
Yeah,
This is
it's
down
north
a
of
ways
this
from
site
airport.
quite a bit.
I
Yeah,
can-
so I think just for clarification, the mini mart area that you see on
Yeah.
the plans, that's a block from the intersection of Stoltz Hill
Stoltz
and
Hill, yeah,
Airport.
yeah.
So there's quite a bit of room there.
Other questions, thoughts?
On the park, what are you planning for that park? Is this going to be just has some trees and shrubs and is a park? Are you thinking a play structure? Are you thinking a structure that they can use for family events and so it'll have a building? Like, what are your thoughts on the park? What kind of a park are you going to create?
That is an excellent question. That's what we're here to talk about. What do you want to see? Right? We don't know what you want to see, and we don't know what your budget is or what your needs are, and that kind of thing. So,
Well,
Um,
for the city's perspective, we have no mechanism to develop a park. So if you give us 3 acres of land to mow, it's not going to be much of a benefit from the city's side of this deal. I think we talked about that before. So, we're interested, of course, if we're going to do a park, that it would be a developed park when we took ownership of it. Certainly, design of that would involve this committee intricately as well as our city council. So I think, from the city's perspective, that's what we would like to see coming back.
Is
to
there
us.
from the city's perspective, from feedback you've gotten from community members, is there a park lacking in Lebanon that's not covered? I mean, like, is there not enough play structures? Is there not enough rental structures? Like, is there something that you feel like is lacking in Lebanon now that we need to address, that maybe would be a good place to address in a new park?
So I
Well,
could-
so they're all classified, this would be classified as a neighborhood park, so it would follow along those lines as far as amenities would be concerned.
Okay.
Similar to Christopher Columbus Park that was built with that development, or some of the other neighborhood parks that we have in town. We haven't got any specific feedback about something lacking. We know we don't have any parks in there, and if you put this many homes, it would be a nice place to have
Right,
something like that.
absolutely.
That being said, with a staff of 2 that takes care of 88 developed acres of turf grass and 260 non-developed acres of turf grass, just add more acres to add more acres because you can't build on it isn't something we really want to jump into.
I would definitely encourage you as you think of this park and as you develop this park to think of ADA challenges. Because safety and ADA are 2 things that are really going to be important moving forward as parks develop around the country. And that's definitely something that I would keep in mind. There's a group called DSP Connections out of Salem that works with a lot of people with sensory and disability issues, and they might have some really good ideas on what you can use to help develop that for people that maybe have challenges, especially if you're going to be in a more low, if you're trying to get that lower income or that different demographic of housing, that might be something to think about.
Thank you for the tips.
Mhm.
We've built a number of playgrounds within our multifamily communities, and they have to be ADA compliant. So we've recently, I think we've built probably 8 playgrounds in the last 8 years. So
Yeah.
familiar with the structures and the ADA compliance and the surfacing and so forth. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it might be even good to think about taking that a step further to making a really good place that those would work in that kind of a
Mm-hmm.
park.
Yeah, yeah.
Linda, you got any thoughts on it?
I think for a neighborhood with starter homes, you definitely need a play structure. You need trees. People love trees in the shade. And a trail that they can walk on in winter. You might consider a community garden. And if you do consider that, I just say that it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be really simple as long as there's decent soil and a water source. It doesn't need to be something like Porter Park.
Community
Fence
garden
is
might be a
good,
good
too.
thing over by where the trails are.
Hmm?
The community garden might be a good place over by where the trails are and closer to the water source.
Mhm.
Great feedback.
Anna, you got anything?
I just look at all those little rectangles and go, golly, that's a lot of houses. That's a lot of lots in there.
Well, this is a new standard of development.
I know, it just blows my mind. I'm just
Some
saying.
of these are half the lot size of our typical standard that we
Holy
have
cow.
now, so.
And that's a state mandated. That's
Right,
not
yeah,
something
I
that.
know, yeah. No, I just kind of agree with everyone that's said something so far. I know a lot of stuff on the buzz. People would love to see a water park. I'm like, I'll talk to Rick about that with the one in Albany. that they put in. So,
They got one, House Swanson Park working out.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Does the river
Uh,
qualify as a water park? I don't think so.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Thing is free.
They should,
Yeah.
yeah.
Rod, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to commend you for thinking about the trails and how importance of that, to have a place for people to get outdoors, especially with higher density developments that are coming down the pike. There's has a potential to tie in directly into a proposed trail system that's going to run the entire west side of the community, called the Burkhart Creek Trail System. It's right at Stoats Hill and Airport Road is there's already a 7, or I think it's a 10-foot wide concrete trail that the city put in with their current development to be able to hook into a trail called the 7th Street Trail, which is a trail that runs along 7th Street over by the football field. But my point about Burkhart Creek is that new trail, that wide sidewalk, multi-use trail that the city's put in there at that development, it connects right into Burkhart Creek. And we're waiting, Build Lebanon Trails, it really is kind of the group that makes trails happen, other than the developments that come in, so that we really appreciate the assistance they're having on here. What we're going to see probably soon is the development of the Burkhart Creek Trail, which is going to be 2 blocks from this development. And it should, and it's designed to tie all the way into the north end of town to provide that alternative transportation connection. So thank you for doing that. I had a couple questions on where the trail goes, but I think what I'm seeing on the trail is, especially when it gets over close to Stoats Hill, it looks like it dead ends, but I think it probably converts to a residential sidewalk system. Is that?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Well, is there a map of that Burkhart Trail somewhere?
Give Rod a second. He's got it right
He's
here.
prepared.
Awesome.
Kind of hard to find
Okay.
on the city's website. But basically, it's
Oh, I
it's the
see.
yellow dotted line.
Excellent.
And there's already one section developed up by the fire.
Very good. Yeah, we'll find a way to integrate into that for sure.
And I'm going to comment, this disclaimer, I have a warped view because I run the city parks in Albany. So my thinking will be on concerns that the city might have. One of the concerns of the city is people love to give land that costs money to manage, but has not a lot of value to it. And sometimes there's tie-ins to that cost the city money. I think that's a question. I think what you're doing overall is really good, but I think they're going to want to know that answer. Cost to the city short term and long term. I think if a park, there's kind of two ways to develop it. There's you give the city the park land, and then the city develops it with SDCs or whatever. Or I think that it's 100% of the time better use of money to have the developer build it, even if the city's involved, because you can do it so much cheaper than a city can. But those would be I really like what you're doing, and I like the fact that it's over 10 years. And I hate to have 267 new housing units come in, but I recognize that that's the future and where we need to be. And I think that the way you've done this, I like it. The use of the land and stuff. So I think keeping the city's short-term and long-term costs in mind, I'm going to encourage the city folks to really watch that, and they know that too. So I'm just kind of echoing what their concerns are going to be. Anything else?
Yeah.
Anything else from you guys? Any other thoughts? on your-
That's, those are excellent points. Go back, let's go to the integrated slide. If you look at the lower left corner, take a look at where the trails would end up, and then let's go back to the aerial photo, okay? And see if we can, yeah, to the right there, you can see that Oak Creek comes through there. It's a kind of semi-forested wetland, would require zero maintenance. Wouldn't need to mow it, wouldn't need to touch it, quite frankly. And the trail would go along that. And I think that's a great place for some interpretive signage. This is a wetland, here's its functions, right? So not just recreation, but education, okay? I'm a big fan of that, particularly with Oregon's wetlands. And so that'll be a really nicely avoided wetland. It's somewhat degraded from the farming practices. We keep the hydrology going, that thing's going to flourish because it's not going to get touched, and it's not going to have all the components that farming, the soils, and the off-running of the chemicals. Okay, so that should be a really nice piece of property over the course of time. I'm also personally a big fan of passive recreation. Not all parks need to have play structures. I like the idea of being able to walk through a meadow, and maybe it's got some native plants and native vegetation, and there's a park bench to sit on, and you could overlook this wetland open space. Not everybody's, I don't climb on playgrounds anymore, but I do like to go to the park, so that's something that I want to see that we would integrate into this, is that it's all ages could be served by this kind of neighborhood amenity. Okay, so we look forward to working with you and really appreciate your feedback today. It's all excellent stuff for us to do a little further research and work together and come up with the best program possible. So, okay, we hear
Thank you.
you.
And thanks for bringing that to us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
okay. So since I jumped over it, back to North Shore.
We met with the city of Albany, Public Works staff last week in my office. It was a very productive meeting. It was a good meeting. We had discussion about fixing that section, the two sections of North Shore Trail that are really the most jeopardy right now, in our opinion. They have some hoops to jump through with FERC, but it didn't seem like that was going to be an issue to stop us at all. Kind of the worst Worst case scenario, we'd have to fix it just like we're suggesting we fix it anyway. So, there's a dam safety concern because that's considered an earthen dam through the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. So they were gonna push that on our behalf anyway. So it looks like it's gonna work out. Timing, the ball's in their court. I'll keep talking with them. I still offered to do the work. I know we had an offer, I don't know if that's a firm offer yet or not, to help get some of the materials needed to do that Class 1 riprap placement. Albany was interested in that, of course. Also talked to them about partnering with them to fix the banks and that go through Ralston Park. We lose 18 inches to 2 feet every single year as the canal fluctuates of real estate in there. So yeah, overall, very positive meeting. Look forward to coming to some resolution. They had some concerns about, opening up permit processes and different things like that with FERC, but like we discussed, the end of the day, the worst case scenario is they demand that we fix it the way we're suggesting to fix it. It's really, really good project, and I hope we can get it done sooner than later, because I really would like to avoid a failure, and I'd really like to operate the lake at a little higher level.
There's the two areas right on the left after the land bridge, but there's another that's really bad.
I combine those two.
Okay, you call those, and then one close to where it goes up to oh, okay, because that's a bad one too. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got that whole kind of thing. And once we just get the green light,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Can I ask who's Albany's lead is on that one?
So the meeting was with Scott LaRock, Chris Bailey, and Rob Emmons, their city engineer. I think the lead is going to be Scott. Him and Rob will be working with FERC to get the blessing. It sounds like it's kind of a rubber stamp process, just based off of a current existing design they have for repairs they've done prior to. So I don't expect it to be a cumbersome process at all. Very optimistic that it's not going to be.
And Rob Emmons is really good at working through that stuff. So
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
good at it.
Yeah, we got a lot of history with Rob, so we glad he's helping with the project. So
Perfect. Any other thoughts on that? Okay, Lebanon Garden Club tree planting, Linda.
Yeah, the Garden Club's Community Projects Committee plans to ask the club for $2,000 for planting trees this fall along streets. And we've looked at Second Street from H to Elmore. And Ron Whitlatch told me that that would be a good place as far as water lines are concerned. I'm concerned also about gas lines, and I talked to somebody at the PUC yesterday about that because that phone number 811 is not helpful because only the person who's going to plant the tree is supposed to call. And we don't want people to get a tree and then find out at the last minute that they can't plant it. Somebody told me today that the city knows where those gas lines are.
well, we could do something called a survey locate, which gets all the utilities to come mark the right of way. So everyone would know where everything is. Communication lines, gas lines, water, sewer. So we could definitely handle that.
That
A
would-
survey locate.
That would be great. And then we would know before we invited any of the residents to apply for a tree. And with the application process this year, we thought we'd look at the county assessor's list and find out who lives in each, or find out who owns each house and make sure the owner lives in the house, and then only contact those people who actually own and live in the house and who won't have problems with utilities. And who have a place for a tree when, you know, when we eyeball it. Does that make sense? And then they would get the invitation and we'd see how many trees people want.
We do have from Elmore to E, we have a few stormwater projects to try to pick up those puddles that develop in there, which, I mean, the timing will be great because those will be done. I just want to, we'll make sure those are identified in the plan. So
Okay.
we don't have to encumber anything that you plant.
Great?
Do the property owners water them or who waters?
Yes. They have to sign a paper that says they'll water them for at least a couple of years. And we also plan to ask for another $500 for park trees, if the city can use some park trees.
So I kind of went over your email you sent, and pretty much anything at Riverview Park. I mean, we're all for trees down there, especially for, you know, kind of stabilizing the ground for when it floods. You mentioned that in your email. I did look at Christopher Columbus. We do have some areas like over by the basketball courts and the restrooms that could use.
I've never even looked at that park.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Somebody else suggested it.
No, there's some good areas there that could use some
Uh-huh.
trees.
So
right.
do you want specific suggestions from us then?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, I'm not a tree person, so I mean, you guys know more about trees than I do, so
Okay, well, we'll work on that then.
yeah. So, and like Jason mentioned, I think before, that we do have some Arbor Day money that we could help with these projects as well. And I was also going to bring up, we had a meeting for a different reason with Pacific Power, and they mentioned that they have a program, Right Tree, Right Place, that they're willing to help out, you know, getting some street trees in, as long as, you know, it's the right tree, you know, especially if there's a power line above. You know, they have a list of trees that they recommend if there's power lines that stay smaller, and I can get you the contact information for the Pacific Power rep that we were talking to, because he mentioned teaming up with us for Arbor Day project, and if it could be all three of us, it'd probably be a great situation to,
Wonderful.
yeah, so.
I think
Thank you.
funding, you could probably count on about $1,000 from the Arbor Day budget to do some of those parks trees, if you'd like.
Sounds great.
Good.
And last year, I'd like to say it went smooth with the William Street project, you know, as far as you guys reaching out, and then we went over and got the trees and supplied, you know, stakes and, you know, things like that, and delivered them. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to another project.
I was happy with the way it worked out. I think I have to improve my instructions to the recipients a little bit. There's still some of those trees that have pieces of bamboo attached to them,
Oh,
which
yeah.
need to be removed, but we'll deal with that.
Linda, I appreciated that you're looking at the utilities and stuff to see where trees can be planted first, because people, then you know who to approach. Otherwise, people may go, oh yeah, I'd love to have a tree, and they got all sorts of utilities running through and can't
And
do it.
I didn't realize how much of a problem that would be until we tried it, so.
Yeah.
Now
That's
I
a
know.
great idea, and having the city help you with the locating of it is a
Yeah,
great idea
absolutely.
too.
We just call it in from Elmore all the way
Yeah.
to the canal.
And I think as the years go by and these projects, if we keep doing them, the process will get better and better.
Great, thank you.
You're having a very productive meeting. They've given you $1,000 in the help on locating all this stuff so
Oh,
far.
that's it. I mean, it makes perfect sense for us to support the
Yeah,
Lebanon
absolutely.
Garden Club's effort to take care of some of these Arbor Day projects that frankly, we don't do a very good job at all at.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. It's a great partnership for you guys. Any other thoughts on Linda's information? Rod Cell, BLT update.
One comment, Linda. Several years ago, I had a chance to do the maintenance on the water tower that's north of town, out by the hospital and LBCC. At that time, crawled up there and I saw all the trees in town, and we really are a Tree City USA. And if you just spend time to look at the skyline, it's wonderful that we're able to do that. So thank you for your help in continuing that effort. So we aren't going to have a discussion then on a multi-use trail development? It's on the agenda. Okay, that was pulled.
Well, no, it was mislabeled.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right. So we're currently working on the Georgia Pacific Bill Race Trail project. We are hoping to get an agreement with NIMBY, who was the people that have opposed the trail and are taking it to the city for a code determination, but also to the Lynn County, and went to the Planning Commission, and their decision was appealed by NIMBY, and on June 3rd, now we're back on the schedule for the Lynn County Board of Commissioners. We're hoping that we will have a signed agreement before that date with NIMBY that meets everybody's needs and requirements. And if not, then we'll go to the meeting and proceed on. We believe we can start building the trail right away, and we're in the middle of getting the construction plans developed. We're meeting with Rick Franklin Corp., I think, next week or something, to really look at the bridge site. Jan has already been out there with when Brian Brian Bandetta from Udell Engineering was there. And it looks like we're go. We're getting a hold of Rick Franklin to look at what bridges, he converts the railroad cars to bridges, what ones he has available, how long they are. We believe we need at least an 80 footer, and I think he has built them over like 110 feet. So, and they're rock solid. I mean, you could easily take a small service vehicle across them and be fine. We believe we have most of the funding, but we're really holding off until we get the appeal process taken care of, and to start asking for the remainder of the funds. And we want to build this year, and we think we still can. So we're ready to go out, and we have a list of contractors that we want to contact, previous people that have worked in town on projects, and get rolling. We're anxious. Anything to add on that, Jan? So we have on July 12th is our next trail work day, and our planned project is to go out so the Cheetah Lake Island Loop Trail is a paved trail, and off of that we call that the first finger, and then the second finger there's no trails, and the third finger, which is the southernmost finger, has a gravel trail all the way to the end. Well, right where that second and third finger come together, there's several trees with a bunch of brush, and it's a place that attracts homeless camps. So we're going to go out and clear it out so there's clear sight vision through that. It just helps with enforcement.
Awesome.
And that's our plan. And if we get a good turnout, then we'll do some of the other trees also, and we hope to wash the benches. So there's a question for you guys, you probably know. And I'm told you can run a pressure washer off a zero gravity tank. So you got a 500-gallon water tank. You can drop your suction hose in, or not your suction hose, but your feed hose into that, and a pressure washer will.
It's still got to have some head pressure, just pick it up, but yeah.
Any idea how much?
If it's in the back of a pickup, and you have the pressure washer on the ground, you'll be fine.
Okay. Be in the back of a
We've been
trailer.
doing it on all our bridges in town.
Good. Okay.
I think you might want to try it beforehand. It kind of depends on the pressure washer, but one of ours does it pretty well.
Yeah, we probably have a
You
choice.
could
I have a
borrow, I'm
commercial
sure.
one, so.
Yeah.
So you don't have to change anything. It's just like we just hooking up the hose and
Mhm.
starting that sucker up. You don't have to do anything with valving or.
No.
Great. All right.
When is that workday, Rod?
It's on July 12th.
Second
So
Saturday.
we hope to, do all the trimming so that city can get their mowers in there when they mow, but also to go wash all the benches out there, because frankly, they haven't been washed in a long time.
Yeah.
And they're growing stuff. They don't have any vandalized. I mean, they have been vandalized, but there's no graffiti on them as of today. So that's good.
What do we do? What do we do with the stuff that we get from that area? Do we just pile it in a pile and you guys take care of it, burn it in
Yeah,
the
you
fall,
could
or?
You could pile it up and then.
We'll
I
go
can-
pick it up and
Yeah.
take it off site, because if
Yeah.
we leave it there, they'll light it in the middle of July or August, and like they did last year,
Yeah, well,
2 years ago.
we can come the Monday after. I'll have a crew out there to.
Just put it in a pile and you'll
Mhm.
come and get it. Okay,
Yep.
that
Remember we
sounds
had that
good.
really giant pile, and they lit
It was
down
right
and
at
had
Strawberry
some
Festival.
terrible time. I mean, that
Oh.
was dangerous.
But they lit the pile off, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We don't leave brush piles.
For the
piled.
workday, I mean, our setup, they're more than welcome to borrow for washing the benches.
Mhm.
Because it's a really, it works well. We're using it to clean our bridges in town now. So
So it's a rig you put in the back of a pickup.
it's in actually our box truck. Our,
Yeah.
we got from state surplus. It's just got a lift gate, sets up higher. And
Okay.
it drains
Well,
down into our pressure washer and works really well.
Thank you. Keep that in mind. We might do a trial run on one I have,
Yeah.
just because it's all self-contained. We don't have to run around and get things. but
Understood.
Thank you very much for that offer. That very well could also be the way we go, if not for this time, at another time. So I go out to the Old Mill Trail quite a bit, and I've been noticing what seems to be the light sensor is failing over time, because it's getting, a couple days ago, the lights were on at noon. It was an overcast day. And so I went and checked it, and I think it's a little box that comes off the power.
Mhm.
It's just this little sensor thing.
Yeah.
And it must be going bad, because
Was it the north end or south end?
It's
'Cause
south end.
South end, okay.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at it.
South end has always been on a lot longer than the north end, even early in the day.
It's just where the
Where?
sensor's located and the sun it gets, that type of deal. When that trail was originally built, there was a sensor on every light, and that would have been a nightmare to take care of.
Huh.
So we had them put a shorting cap and then one sensor. So yeah, it would have been a maintenance nightmare.
Yeah, I
Have
just
all
look.
those old sensors though that we could use to replace.
They're different. These are just a small photo eye. The ones that were on the light, we didn't get them. No, the company came out and changed them out, but they go on top of the light, so it wouldn't have been compatible anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll myself or Zach will go take a look at that and get it fixed.
Great, thank you. Listening to the city council meeting, I understand the next city council meeting will not be in this room.
It will
No.
be at the library community room.
So how
Along with
about,
all our meetings as well. So next meeting we have will be at the library.
okay, library meeting room? Great. Or is there more information you're at liberty to share, or? Okay. All right, Jan, all the things I forgot. What did I forget?
I think you covered it. We're positive about the Georgia Pacific Mule Race Trail. It's going to be a go.
Is that going to be another concrete trail design, or do we got some chance to talk about that a little bit? Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, I certainly don't want to hold anything back, but at some point, we're going to have to hit a break even here on what we're putting in. I'm just thinking replacement costs in the future. I'm thinking the lighting, the power bill. I'm thinking replacing sensors and light bulbs and structures and things that we have zero mechanism to fund currently. Zero, I mean zero. So. Mhm. Yeah, I would like to be involved when you get closer to 75% design. Maybe we could sit down and go over what that looks like. And just try to kind of come to some consensus that at least helps us as we move forward. I will. Absolutely, Rod. Sure. And I don't know what's better, concrete or asphalt. I just know that if I have to replace the old mill trail for whatever reason, something happens. Wow, I hope not. That's a budget buster there. Yeah. zip strip, kind of, yeah. Yeah, looking at that project, how well it came out, I mean, it did come out really well. I'm not throwing any negativity towards that at all. I'm really not. Things we learned that I want to manage the bank slopes a lot better on this next one we build. There's some really challenging mowing spots on the Old Mill Trail that make the guys hold on pretty tight. Yes. So yeah, just some of those things, I think we could just engineer out a little bit of the trouble that we learned, lessons learned, of course, how we grow, so. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be nice. Yeah. None. And then talking with Galen, I asked him about bringing that trail segment out along the apartment buildings into that kind of gravel parking area along the store there. So we could take care of that little area a little better than what it's currently being used for. And he thought, I don't know if he got that design part to you guys or not, but. I mean, that's something we would partner with to help get that done, just to tie that all up. Yes. No. Yeah.
Okay. Other committee members, anything? You got to have something, Cindy. No.
I don't have anything.
I
Okay.
just wondered, are we still having the same group? Did you get reelected or is that not taken place yet? You haven't gotten the letter, huh?
I don't know what that process is, so.
Yeah, I don't know how that process works. I haven't been on the board long enough to know how that
As
process
far as I
works.
know, I don't believe we had any other applicants, so I would imagine it's be the same group minus. Anna.
Minus Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah, my husband's going through some health issues that's why I haven't been here for 2 meetings. I feel bad that I can't be here to represent what I need to. So I'm not saying goodbye forever, but for now, this season in our life, I think I need to be there for him. So, yeah.
Wishing you
That makes
well.
totally
Thank
sense.
you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Do we have a replacement applicant?
I don't believe we've gotten anything yet.
Do we need to advertise?
I believe Sierra's taking care of that.
It's
but-
been on the buzz. It's been all over Facebook. I've seen lots and I keep sharing, hey,
Mhm.
quit complaining,
Oh,
get
good.
involved.
If you know somebody.
Yeah.
If you do
Yeah.
know,
Somebody.
if you do know somebody, get a hold of myself or Sierra and we can.
Okay, I think we were each assigned some kind of specialty. Does Anna have a specialty that we need to
I was the park lady.
park lady?
So, yeah, I did
Yeah,
the
and-
parks,
and-
yeah. That's
He's
what
my
I was.
park sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a neighbor, I don't know his name, but I think he would be great. He's worked for Lynn County Parks and he works for the state parks now.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, Rod.
Thank you. So there's a big event going on in July at Cheetah Lake. Can one of the board member or the members that are on that committee for the 4th of July talk about it? 4th of July? Aren't you already have more than one on the 4th?
Just making sure there's not something else in July I don't know about. I mean, the 4th of July is happening as far as we know. We're working on getting the funding together. It's been a really pushing a boulder uphill. So far it is happening. There is nothing happening at the park. It'll just be the fireworks over the lake. Because we didn't know what the park construction was going to be and what was going to be happening actual park. So we'll just be doing fireworks over the lake like we've done the last several years. we're just trying to get the funding secured right now. So that's all I can tell you about that.
Is there a fundraising effort or?
There has been a fundraising
sponsorship?
effort, and we've been going to sponsors and doing fundraising but I mean, the fireworks are more expensive, especially with everything that's going on. So it's $25,000.
You need to stand on the corner of Main Street with the boot or something, like the
Oh, the
fire,
boot.
fire
I don't think they can
department
do that anymore,
does.
though,
Oh, okay.
technically. So we're
I bet you
working with.
Adam at North Sandy M's Coffee would allow people to
Oh, yeah. We
collect
should talk
money
to
there.
him. Yeah. So we're working on getting some stuff out in the community for community fundraising and, yeah, so working on it. But it's one of those things that if we lose it, we'll lose it forever. So
Yep.
we're trying to do everything we can to keep fireworks in Lebanon. Yeah.
Yes, Rod,
Thank
Rod
you.
keeps thinking of one more thing.
I'm just thinking about the events that are coming up, and, I just lost my train of thought, so it'll come back when we adjourn, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
Okay, anything else?
Do you want an update on the Cheetah Lake Park construction?
Yes.
You didn't have it on the thing, but sure.
I didn't have it on a thing on purpose because we got our preliminary budget back for
Ouch.
the project and it was just absolutely way too much money. So we're looking at trying a different delivery method instead of a straight bid project, maybe doing a CMGC, which is kind of a construction management project. It allows you to value engineer things on the fly versus being locked into just a typical bid. We're being as creative as we possibly can to get absolutely as many elements as we can constructed. The large costs that we did not anticipate being so high, of course, are the stage. As soon as you hire an architect, you just start adding zeros. The stage cost is very expensive, along with the access road leading back there. Both are critical to the development of that project for future use. But we just got to find a different method to get there. So the model we have right now is not going to cut it.
Have we had any luck? Grant wise, I know the city talked to a grant writer. Has that gone anywhere? Has anything happened with
Yeah,
that?
we got the large government grant for $1 million from state parks.
Mhm.
So we have that funding. Right now, I think we're setting somewhere north of $5 million in money that we have, which you would think that would be enough, but.
any of a time frame on some of that money?
Yeah, so the large government grant is the one that is next biennium. So we have to have that spent, which won't be a problem.
That's the ADA stuff, right? The
Uh,
trails?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The access, all
Yeah.
the access.
And the
money.
parking, paving and stuff.
So we'll have no problem with that. I think the stage, it's either gonna have to have some design element changes, or we're gonna have to figure out how to live in our means a little bit better, without limiting what we can have out there, because we would like it to be a place to generate revenue for our park system. I think it's really crucial that we start thinking that way. But
So I wonder if we can tap into the opioid.
yeah, I don't know about that.
So there's the state of Oregon. All of the states have access to funding that comes from the opioid crisis, and it's money that is just given to each state to help. And it's supposed to be, it's grants given to events and to areas that are creating space to keep kids safe and off drugs. So I know that I've talked to the grant writer previously about park improvements and how they tie into that, and she thought that would fit into that grant, especially a stage that's something that's going to create events and be for events. We should check on that.
Yeah, send me a contact. I'd be happy to leg that
I
out.
sent the contact. I think you guys have talked to to Renee.
Oh, yeah.
She's the one that I've talked to, but I can talk to her. We can talk to her more about it.
Yeah, I think, yeah. And there was some other options through Council of Governments as well that we were trying to flesh out.
I know that opioid one, I think we're
Okay. Perfect.
So can you also give us an update on the River Park Trail project?
I haven't been in that loop, Rod, so I really I don't have anything for you. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I think it's out to bid currently and closes
Hasn't
like,
been awarded yet. I do know
closes
that.
on the 3rd or something. I think it closes soon, so we're very hopeful that it'll come in under budget or at budget so we can get it built.
Well, the trends are showing us that things are coming in under budget right now, thankfully, unless you're building a stage with an architect, so.
Well, it's one of those things that you ask for everything that you really want, and then you hope you scale it back and.
You build what you
What you
could
can
only
live with.
need, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's where kind of we're at right now. But in an effort to spend the money that we have allocated, we've kind of got to do it through a value engineer phase. We can't restart design at this point.
Great. Anything else?
I had one question I thought about, I should have asked the city before, or the update. Weed removal in the parks, how do you guys take care of that kind of stuff?
Most of the time it's through herbicide. We
Okay,
have certified applicators that take care of that.
okay,
So we try to, I mean, use it responsibly and,
Right.
by the book and
so have you guys already applied herbicide and that kind of stuff? to
on a
stuff?
lot of the parks.
Okay.
As weather permits. Right now, this time of year, it's kind of hit or miss on
Right.
when you can, when
Yep.
you can't. So, but when we do, we post it before and after, the allotted periods of time and all that. So.
Yeah. Okay, I just noticed some weeds the other day at the skate park going, gotta take care of that milkweed.
Yep.
So, anyway, I was just curious.
So
her-
Jason, do you get a lot of complaints about when you put the signs up about spraying?
It's hit or miss. But yeah, in the past, we've gotten quite a few complaints.
I think we've had a lot of misunderstandings with members of the media about what those signs mean, or citizens in the community that read that sign and think that there was a spill or there was some big issue. So I've gotten a lot of those calls, kind of. But I think the way that Jason's group has changed how they do it, especially at Cheetah Lake, by having the blackberries knocked down first. So they're not spraying after they're grown and start flowering, and that's just a bad optic.
Yeah.
Anytime that happens. So I think that's helped us a lot.
Yeah, when you talk herbicides,
Oh, boy.
people have all sorts of opinions, but I would say that I'm sure the city has trained applicators, and your neighbor is probably doing a lot worse with their herbicide than.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I was just curious as to.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to get Jason to take my calls on those. Anyway, anything else for the good of the order? Okay, let's adjourn. Next meeting is June 18th
In the library community room.
in the library community room.